Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of UA Eats. I'm UA, and today we are still in Denver, Colorado. Just a fun trip with friends, and it was a great time. Really enjoyed it here. Beautiful city, great people. Pretty cool to be surrounded by all these mountains. But before leaving Denver, I did not want to leave until I tried this one place that I feel like this is a cuisine that we can't get in New Jersey, New York. I feel like on the East Coast, this is pretty much non-existent. But let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. We are at Tocabe to try Native American cuisine, and this is a fast casual restaurant, a Native American owned and run fast casual restaurant that specializes in contemporary Native American cuisine. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We actually ate here yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. And, you know, it was great, and I felt like I just had to try it again, and not just try it for me, but I wanted to show this kind of cuisine to you guys because I feel like Native American cuisine is something that people don't really know much about, including me. I mean, I am just gonna be upfront that I really know squat about Native American cuisine. You know, I know we all have those like stereotypes, Bison and things like that kind of come to mind, like these game meats, but I mean, there's hundreds of Native American tribes, so, you know, it's kind of hard to pin down Native American cuisine. That would kind of like be saying European cuisine or Asian cuisine. But that being said, this place kind of does represent some of the offerings in Native American cuisine, and one thing that happens to be more ubiquitous amongst many of them being fry bread, like a kind of puffy, airy, deep fried bread that's quite delicious. Now, of course, this is a fast casual restaurant. It's not so much like a traditional Native American restaurant, so, you know, I presume that not only is it going to be more contemporary, I presume that there's probably some fusion involved and probably some modernization and adjustments to fit local tastes. But that being said, I feel like this is a kind of cuisine and a style of food and cooking that you're not really going to find on the East Coast, and definitely cool to experience this while we're in Colorado, so let's check it out. Let's get in line. All right, guys, we are inside Tocabe. Now, this is a Native American fast casual restaurant, and the food is quite good. They have a board here for their Native community, a Lego chieftain, some gnarly looking Native American skateboards. A lot of general themes of like resilience in this restaurant, which is kind of cool to see. And my favorite one here, this First Avenger painting here, pretty cool, Captain Native American, really like that. So the restaurant kind of operates like Chipotle. Everything is pre-cooked and pre-made, and they kind of scoop what you want and make what you want as you're ordering it. Yesterday, I got a stuffed fry bread, which I really enjoyed, but today I wound up getting the Indian taco, which I hear is more authentic. So, and from what I have gathered, this is a commonly eaten food at many Native American powwows and events such as that, gatherings, and while it is a taco, you know, they call it a taco, it is not really a taco in the way that, I presumed. I thought this would be something that I pick up and eat with my hands. But this is so massive and, messy that I think I gotta eat this with a knife and fork. It kind of makes me think of like a Mexican huarache, where there's like a fried starch on the bottom and a bunch of yummy toppings on top. And then here we got a rack of delicious bison ribs. Now, bison is an ingredient that is kind of hard to find in general, so getting a full slab of ribs, can't wait for that. And they smell delicious, you have no idea. It comes with some fry bread as well, some puffy fry bread, so perhaps we should try that fry bread on its own first. All right, let's grab one of these fry breads, why don't we? It kind of reminds me of a Chinese dish that's kind of like a cruller called a youtiao. Like, it's very similar, or like a funnel cake. So let's try this Native American fry bread, why don't we? It is actually remarkably similar to the Chinese youtiao. It literally translates as like oil piece. So basically like fried dough, I guess. So this fry bread, it's super soft on the inside, super airy, you know, not quite as thick and doughy as you would expect, but it is very much like a donut that's not sweet. The texture they got on this thing, man, spot on, I gotta say. Like, just how fluffy it is and how soft it is. I really love the texture they got going on. However, I will say it's a little bit oily. It's a little oily, and it's probably a little bit too oily for my taste personally. Remember that episode when Homer was trying to gain weight and Dr. Nick told him, rub it on the napkin, and if it turns clear, you can eat it. If you just press this on the napkin, yeah, as you can see, it is quite greasy. I mean, I guess not as bad as it could have been, but I guess I find it a little bit oily. I would presume that this is probably not eaten straight up too often. It would be a bit too much to handle, in my opinion, to eat straight up. There's a reason why funnel cakes have all that sugar on top, because it's very similar to a funnel cake in, I would say, oiliness and texture, but without the sugar. So you're really lacking that sugar here. But let's put this down for a second, and let's see if eating the fry bread in taco form will do the trick. Perhaps eating it with all the toppings will make all the difference. Let's see if we can't try it with some pieces of meat and veggies and beans and things like that. All right, we've freed a piece of the fry bread. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is bison meat, by the way. Not every day that you find bison meat, so let's try some bison. And let's try some corn and some of that chipotle sauce and beans, why not? All right, Indian taco, bite numero uno. Numero dos. All right, we have freed numero dos. So, got a big piece of bison on this guy. That is outstanding. Let me break it down for you. Oh man, like I said, eating the fry bread on its own, in my opinion, too oily, you know, a little bit too greasy for me. At least without any toppings to distract from that. But when the fry bread instead is like a base of a taco, it is like perfect. You know, it's oily, it's greasy, it's soft, it's starchy. All that greasiness almost adds to the savoriness of the rest of the dish. And then everything else that they pile on top of this fry bread, the bison. Now, first of all, I haven't really had bison many times, maybe just once or twice. And bison is definitely not a cheap meat to acquire, so this restaurant is a little bit more expensive maybe than a lot of your fast casual restaurants, but it makes sense because it's hard to source some of these meats. But bison, I guess I will say, it's kind of similar to beef. Like, it is similar to beef, but it's sort of different texturally, as you can see. As you can see, it's a little bit more crumbly than beef is in a way. Like, it slightly has a different texture, like a little bit less wet of a texture, like less greasy of a texture. But bison, yeah, it's sort of similar to beef, but not quite one-to-one. Bison doesn't quite have that same greasy taste as beef. And other than that, you know, it just tastes like a slightly different protein, but similar to beef. I don't know how else to explain it besides the textural difference. I like it though. Maybe this should become more of a trend to eat bison. You know, now that I'm taking a second bite and without all the other toppings, the bison is a little bit more gamey. Like, it's a little bit more sour. Beef is much less gamey, but you know, I kind of enjoy it. It works well when it's like balanced with other ingredients. Like when you got all these corn, the sauce on top is a nice touch. And these seeds, wow, these fresh seeds are to die for. They add like a great crunch to the whole plate. And the thing that holds all this together, yep, that delicious fry bread on the bottom, acting as like an edible plate. So sad that edible plates are not such a thing anymore in Western cuisine. Edible plates were a big thing in the Middle Ages, actually. People would often eat their meals off of basically like a bread plate called a trencher, I believe. When you were done your meal, you could eat the bread too, and it would soak up all the juices and sauces and crumbs from your meal. Anyways, let's take one more bite. Excellent plate. Can't say enough good things about this. I'm being serious. This might be one of the best fast casual meals I've had. And let's move on to the bong 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 dun the bison ribs. And you know, being such a noob and not really knowing much about Native American cuisine, this is probably more akin to what, you know, maybe I imagined Native Americans ate, you know, in my ignorance. But these are looking like some delicious ribs with a beautiful bark on them. Like they look like they were made by a great pitmaster with a beautiful bark and shine all over the whole thing. So let's dive into one of these bison ribs, why don't we? Hopefully they're good. If I like them, I can buy some more. It was less good when I said it out loud, as most of my jokes are. One more bite. You know, the taste is not bad, but I will be honest, they were a little bit on the tough end. As you can see by that part there, that's a little bit stringy. They're a little bit tough, not exactly the fall apart in your mouth ribs or come off the bone ribs easily. The spice rub on them tastes pretty good, but you know, once again, the bison meat, it's a little bit gamey, you know, not as neutral as beef or pork is. I mean, as you can see by the inside, the ribs are pretty interesting in that they're pretty oily and greasy, but they don't really come off the bone. I mean, these are kind of coming off a little bit because I kind of pulled them off with my teeth when I was trying to get a piece off. But as you can see, yeah, look at me try to tug it. As you can see, it doesn't really, see, I'm pulling like tug of war, and it doesn't really come apart. So it makes me wonder if maybe bison is not really the best protein for ribs, or maybe barbecue for that matter. Or I don't know, maybe there are smoking practices that would have made a difference. But they do look very impressive, and the spice rub tasted good, and it's a generous portion as well, so there's that. I kind of wish I could take this bone home and, you know, make myself like a bison bone broth. Maybe this sauce will make a difference. Looking like a dark sauce, kind of molassesy, maybe almost like blackberries. I'm gonna dip this part in and see if that makes much of a difference. So let's see if this sauce helps at all. You know, that sauce is actually excellent. It does kind of taste like berries. You know, I kind of figured it looked sort of like a jam, but it's very sweet, almost slightly tart. I don't know, it kind of complements the oily spice rub bison pretty well. The more I look at it, the more it resembles some sort of blackberry or like blueberry jam. So I think that's probably what it is. Let's see if a piece of fry bread will go well with this jam. Something tells me it will. I wonder if this will turn this more into like a donut. Way too sour. It's meant really to pair with the ribs. So if you do order the ribs, you gotta dip it in that jam. Otherwise, it's not for the fried bread at all, sorry. But guys, we are going to slowly finish this and then share some final thoughts. I would say for the most part, this was, you know, kind of okay. Like I thought the fry bread was very oily, at least on its own. And the bison meat had good things going for it, like its spice rub. But otherwise it was quite tough and, you know, not nearly tender enough. This Indian taco though, guys, this is where it's at. I mean, now that I've kind of dissected it a little bit, it may not look pretty, but trust me, this Indian taco is delicious. Like Chipotle, but better. All the ingredients, very fresh, very delicious. The bison meat goes perfectly with everything, and that fry bread, guys, the perfect base for the whole thing. And without it, all these other ingredients would not stand as well on their own. I'm glad I got to try this Tocabe place, this Native American fast casual restaurant, because, you know, before I ate here yesterday, I had never had Native American food before, and, you know, I sort of understand Native American cuisine a little bit more. even though I'm sure this food is a little bit tweaked for a typical American palate. But bison ribs aside, just based upon the Indian taco, I would say this is one of the best fast casual restaurants I've eaten at, and right now they're only in Colorado. I hope they expand to the East Coast soon, because I'll be a regular customer here. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I hope you learned a thing or two, because I certainly did. Have you been to Tocabe before? Do you know a lot about Native American cuisine? And do you have any thoughts about what I ate? And what are your favorite Native American places to eat at, if there are any around you? Let me know in the comments, because great minds eat alike. If you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you stay up to date whenever I post another video. I'm going to continue to enjoy this delicious plate I got here. So until next time, I'll see you later.